Hi, and welcome to Cover Brand, where we cover all things branding, marketing, and advertising to help you understand what the hell branding is and how it works to grow your business. Welcome and welcome back. I'm your host, Ethan Decker. Sorry, that was my news announcer's voice. I've got my old friend, Rocky Longworth, with me today. Rocky, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I just got a pallet of non-alcoholic beer dropped off on my front door.
Oh,
So
very nice.
that's
Is it
exciting.
from Athletic Brew by chance?
Oh, funny you should say that, but it's not. But that is one of the top brands out there. No, this one is Mash Gang. Mash Gang is a new brand, and instead of brew beer and then water it down, as we say in Philly, they only brew beer until it gets to, a 0.5% of alcohol, and then they stop. So it's very flavorful. It's really good stuff.
Okay, good.
Mash Gang.
Very
Anyway,
cool.
that's how I'm doing.
Very
Interesting
cool.
morning having a pallet of fake beer dropped off on
That's a
your
lot of beer.
Yeah. So I have to have a lot of friends over. Unfortunately,
Awesome.
you're in a different state. So
And you need, yes, you can, but shipping is accepted.
where are you right now? You're calling from
I'm in
Texas?
Louisville, Texas. We're just in between Fort Worth and Dallas.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell folks listening a bit of what you're up to so that they understand the context for your question.
Okay. Well, I have a consulting business. It's called Equilibrium Advance, and we deal with a lot of small businesses, and primarily it can be marketing and advertising that we're focused on, developing campaigns or specific communication programs or even brand architecture. Or it could also be operational issues that they might be facing that may be affecting their ability to go to market, things of that nature. So it's varied, but I do see more of a focus on, I seem to see of late anyway, more of a focus on, help me, how can I be better at driving sales?
Right. So in your work, it sounds like small, mid-sized companies, a lot of different sizes.
Yes.
What's one of the problems you often encounter in dealing with these organizations and their marketing?
The most common one of late is that small business, particularly, they don't always understand the contribution of the brand to the financial aspects of their business. So we get to you get to a point where the brand team or the marketing team is fighting with the CFO over what are tangible results.
Right.
And you and I both know that in building a brand, you do get tangible results, but sometimes they take time
Right.
To occur, as opposed to a performance marketing campaign that's focused on the transaction. It's just about driving call to action, driving people with dollars off, cents off, things of that nature.
Yep. That's a sticky wicket. You're right. In terms of helping people understand the dollar value of brand assets.
Yes.
And we do call them brand assets because ideally they are assets.
Absolutely.
And we call it brand equity because ideally you're building equity.
Yes.
And I think people don't understand that that's not just a metaphor. It's actually structurally how it works. That to build brand equity, you need to invest in that thing and let it grow over time and do the whole magic of compound interest.
Yeah.
And so, when you talk to the folks who don't understand it, what is it that they measure instead, or what is it that they value?
They typically will measure their retail sales or a seasonal program that goes into the market. Those are the things that are tangible to them. Brand, if they're doing a brand tracker, they're measuring awareness.
Right.
And when I come in, we add in, or when my team comes in, we will add in what's the social conversation, what's the affinity for the brand, great, you've got good awareness, but what does that mean for purchase intent? How are
Right.
you affecting people? Because that, at the end of the day, the brand needs to kind of pull someone into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and
Yeah.
that's, so that, and to me, that's where the fun is.
Well, and what you're saying is that they look at what's easy to measure,
Yes.
and then they track that.
Yes.
And there's that old phrase, what gets measured gets managed, or something like
Yeah.
that. Or if it doesn't get measured, it doesn't get managed. I don't entirely agree with that, but I do know, and I've seen it firsthand as you have, that it's really easy to get sucked into tracking metrics just because they're easy, not because they're right.
Because they are easy, and the
Yes.
CFO kind of gets the CFO off of your back.
Correct.
When that
I,
happens.
yeah. I have found a couple things to be helpful when trying to get people to start tracking or measuring brand. One of them is to give them, and this is kind of an important first step, it's a pre-step, to give them a visceral understanding of the financial value of brand.
Yes.
Not the facts, because, facts don't really persuade people. If facts persuaded people, no one would smoke cigarettes, right? If facts
Right.
persuaded people, I think no one would drink alcohol because
Yeah.
it's a toxin. But that said, you need to give them a story or an anecdote or an example that they look up to that shows the financial power of brand. And I'm a big fan of a couple good case studies. And that's sometimes all it takes. One of them, from a consumer perspective, I love it, is the Snickers "You're Not You When You're Hungry" work, and the Snickers brand itself, and what they've done as a brand to grow their business, to increase their value. I mean, you could say M&M's has an incredible brand too. Like candy is such a great example. M&M's, Kit Kat, Snickers, those are three. If they look up to those companies, then that's a good example. If they are a B2B company, I don't know, do you work with B2B firms much?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so business to business companies like manufacturing or construction or finance or software, logistics, they also have a very hazy, abstract understanding of brand. So a great story I tell them, well, it's kind of one of them is the story of Salesforce.
Yes.
Salesforce has a cute mascot. It invests in their brand and not just in their product. And brand isn't just your logo and isn't it just your mascot. It's that notion of a reputation. Salesforce has invested in their reputation and in the tools that allow people to think of them and know them and like them at all. So if they look up to Salesforce, that's another great example. I mean, it's like a $30 billion company right now, so it might be something people can look up to. Another example is Aflac. You would think that insurance is a somber, serious, important topic, and it is.
Yeah.
But that duck has done more for their business than talking about their coverage ever could have. And that's building a reputation. It's building a brand. It's building the intangibles that actually drives top line and bottom line.
Yeah.
So Rocky, I would say, first of all, you need a story. You need a good, chewy story that your customer, specifically that person, values and respects. If they look up to Aflac, boom. If they look up to Nike, boom. Whatever it is, a brand that they look up to, and you can say, great, you know why they're doing so well? Because they don't just chase their daily numbers. They understand the financial value of brand, and then you show them that story. And then the second piece will be, what can you give them that they can track to get their attention off of the crappy daily sales metrics or performance marketing metrics? So do you have a dog, or have you ever had dogs? You've had dogs.
Writing.
Yeah.
Taking notes.
So if you've ever had a dog and it's a puppy and it grabs your shoe, well, you can't tell it to put the shoe down.
Right.
Instead, you grab the toy in your other hand and you shake that enticingly,
Yes.
and the puppy
Play tug
drops the
of
shoe
war. Yes.
and they grab the toy. And then you put your shoes somewhere safe because you don't want puppy, holes in your shoe. So you need to give them something they can track, something they can measure that helps them understand brand and the value of brand. And sadly, there's not one thing. There's not one number on Google AdWords and Google Analytics. There's not one number on Meta and their platform.
Yeah.
So you'll have to figure out what it is for them
And
that helps them understand the value of brand.
We talked about this earlier, but one of the things that we do is we'll talk to them about the market cap. But to your point, it's sometimes very difficult when you've got a brand like Coca-Cola whose market cap is in the billions. But it does bring it back home when you say that 60% of their value is based on the brand.
Right.
Not on actual sales and promotions and things of
Right.
that nature.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
market cap, you're
yeah,
right. Market cap might be a good metric for the value of brand over and above the value of their bottling. They don't even bottle stuff, which is hilarious. The buildings that they own, the intellectual property patents that they own, whatever it is, the trucks that they own, if they actually own those trucks, I don't know. Right. So the value of the market cap demonstrates the value of brand above and beyond tangible assets.
yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And to your point, for some of the larger or mid-sized clients, they get it, but for a smaller, business or a startup, it's making it
Yep.
more relatable.
Yeah. Another one is, oddly enough, the efficiency of their sales or sales expenditures. So if they're doing performance marketing, if they're doing retail marketing, those things will be more efficient if they have a stronger brand.
Yeah. And
This is
another
kind of
thing I'm wondering about the closing ratios or conversion. If we're doing a good job on the brand side, the conversion rate should increase. Because I'm getting someone coming into the business or to the brand that's actually interested in it, as opposed to just someone looking for $1 off.
Yes. Yes. You'll even see the same with the effectiveness of radio or billboards, that those things will do better if they have a stronger brand.
Absolutely. And what's amazing to me, Ethan, and you see this too, we're both on LinkedIn a lot, and it's amazing to me the number of, the marketers that I see that still talk about performance marketing and brand marketing being two completely separate things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, when you look at the company closely, they're fighting each other for the dollars, for resources, when in reality, they should be working together.
Yeah.
And that's a battle that we fight a lot.
Yeah. And that's why when it comes to the battle, that's why I highly recommend these personalized stories that help people change their intuition. They need to feel differently about it or they'll never change their behavior. So they need to, what else is great, Rocky? Ask them about their own behavior as customers. I love doing little mental exercises where I say, tell me about your toilet paper. And they go, what? And I say, yeah, what brand do you get? It's like, well, which brands would you consider? I don't know. Charmin probably, and maybe Cottonelle.
And use me as an example. Yeah, it's definitely Charmin. And I got to tell you why, because I love the little red bear with the little stuff all over its butt.
Yep.
It's just very cute.
Yeah, and it's familiar and it's known and it's safe and it's all these things. And if they're in the toilet paper business and you need something else, then pick motor oil.
Yeah.
But pick a category where they are a normal consumer and talk to them about which brands do they pick and why. They pick the ones that are familiar. They pick the ones that are obvious. They pick the ones that are consistent.
Mhm.
And whether or not they have a cool brand campaign, I mean, I don't know, Castrol GT something something, but Castrol, like I've seen it forever.
Yeah.
It's
All
got
about
a strong
performance.
brand. So if they can understand themselves as a consumer, then they can start to realize, oh, that's what brand is. And yeah, that is valuable. And that
That's a
is why
great,
people choose
that's a
one
great point.
brand over another, because it's a known brand, it's a familiar brand, as opposed to an unknown brand, unfamiliar brand.
Yeah. That's a great point. That's a
Yeah.
great point.
So like that, and it's so funny, Rocky, because you and I, we are marketers, we're strategists. We constantly think about how to strategize the consumer's mind and mindset. And then we forget that those same things apply to our clients,
Yes.
that we
Yes.
need to change how they think, or we need to have a deeper impact on
Yeah.
them than facts. You know, we'd never say Coca-Cola is 82% more refreshing than Pepsi Cola.
Yeah. No, we would. Yeah.
Uh,
And we certainly can't go in and say, what are you effing out of your mind?
well, right. Well, a lot of people do that. A lot of people,
We can't
and
do that.
sadly,
Yeah.
a lot of the arguments then become, you know, these abstract things about a brand is your essence and it makes people love you. And, you know, I don't love Starbucks, but I
Yeah.
know where it is. I know where to find it. I can spot it from a mile away on the highway, and I can spot it from 100 yards
Yep.
away in the supermarket.
Yep.
And, you know, it's reliable. And when I walk into a Starbucks, I know what I'm going to get.
Yep.
And all that is brand. And that's why you're going to spend $4.95 for a coffee that you could spend a lot less, you know, at a
Yeah.
drugstore for.
Yeah. You can get
So
it for $1 a cup.
yeah, so if you can give those people a personal experience of a strong brand versus a weak brand in their own life, that's step one. Step two, if you can give them that story that they look up to, of a brand, of a company that has built a brand and the financial impact it has had, like Aflac or Snickers,
Yep.
then finally you get to the point where they go, great, well, how do I measure it? Because I get daily sales numbers and they're easy to measure. And you say, great, I'm going to give you something that will help you understand your brand. It won't be the same dopamine hit that a daily sales figure will have,
Yeah.
but it will give you some intuitive understanding of how your brand is doing in the world. And that'll be different depending upon whether you're a software company or a beer company. So I sadly don't have a great easy answer to what that should be that you should give the dog while you take away the shoe.
Yeah.
But you got to have something in hand to give them when you take away the shoe.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
completely. I
Yeah.
think there are lots of things that we can measure or that we do. As we talked about, there are some overlaps. We're definitely going to
Oh,
measure
yeah.
return on investment in
Oh, yeah.
both areas, but
Yep.
we measure equity growth, purchase incentive, what the sentiment is. There's different
Yep.
measures, again, to your point, based on the type of client and the category they have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it does. It takes a little effort sometimes to wean people off of those easy
Yes.
daily metrics, and
Yes.
it takes that intuitive feeling for them to go, oh, okay, now I understand you, Rocky. Now I understand why you say it's toxic to be tracking my daily footfall numbers into my stores.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I hope that helped.
Cool. No, very much so. Very much so. I appreciate the time and I
Yeah.
appreciate the opportunity to discuss this. This is great because it's yes, it's in my company and I see it with smaller businesses, but I'm seeing it now throughout the industry.
Yep.
There's this battle going on, and I just I mean when we got into marketing and advertising as a business, it was still all relatable to people.
Yeah.
It was about people. It wasn't about numbers. It's about people? How can I
Yeah.
make that person love my brand or
Yep.
consider it, or what can it? And that requires you to make that emotional or mental connection.
Yeah. Well, and it's that balance, right? Because the numbers matter, finances
Yeah, they
matter,
do.
but it was balanced out by the human side. And now, because we are awash in numbers, we are drowning in numbers. And everybody says you need a data-driven strategy and you need insight-driven creative and you need daily metrics and you need to check your analytics. We do it and we don't realize a lot of that stuff is useless. A lot of that stuff is vanity. And then importantly, it distracts you from doing the important stuff that's harder to measure. Yeah. Great.
And one of the simple things that a small company can do if they don't have a huge budget to do brand trackers, just talk to your customers.
Just talk to your people.
Talk
to
to
your customers.
Pick up the phone and have a
Yeah.
conversation. Don't send them an
Amen.
email with 30% off and buy it now.
Amen. Amen. Awesome. Hey, before we go, one final question. What is your favorite cover song?
I'd have, I'm a Hendrix freak. I'd have to say Jimi Hendrix. And I think and he covered a Bob Dylan song, All Along the Watchtower, which became an absolute classic.
Yeah. That's such, I love that example because he made it his own. Like it is.
Yes.
And I'm not going to argue about which version's better because we all know Jimmy's version is better. Just kidding.
I love Bob's too.
Dylan's version is great.
I can hear him on his guitar.
Yep. And it's great when you take a great song and you make it equally great by making it your own. Like there is no way in hell you could think Jimmy is just trying to do like karaoke to Bob Dylan.
Absolutely.
He made it his own. It's a great back-to-back example. So if anyone's out there and you have not heard All Along the Watchtower by Bob Dylan and then the version by Jimi Hendrix, go cue it up, go enjoy it, and go thank Rocky for introducing you to it.
Absolutely.
All right, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.
You got it. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the podcast. And if you want to learn more about brand science, head on over to appliedbrandscience.com. Also, if you got something out of this episode, think of one person who might also get something out of it and send it to them as a way of saying, hey, thinking of you.